So you're in Philadelphia. Cavs will play the 76ers tonight. Come back home. They play the Rockets in a back-to-back team that they lost to by a point. Tough ending to that game in Houston. What are you paying attention to in these two games that are back-to-back?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've gotten to a point, Dave, and this may sound elitist, but I think we've gotten to a point where the Cavs have proven like all they need to prove during the regular season. They are clearly a legitimate title contender. This offense is clearly different than it was last year. It is one of the best offenses that we have seen in the NBA in the last 2 decades. That's how consistent they've been at that end of the floor. That's how potent they've been at that end of the floor. So I don't know that there are too many things that I need to really learn about this Cavs team, or they need to show me to validate this start that they've had. At some point, you just have to look at it and say, this isn't a fluke. This isn't a mirage. This is who they are. They are legitimately better so far than the Boston Celtics and every other team in the Eastern Conference. Like the only team that has played with the level of consistency that the Cavs have played with to this point is Oklahoma City. And they're also a legitimate championship contender. So, I mean, I think when it comes to this team, you probably have to get really, really nitpicky. And, if there's a common thread among their losses, and there aren't many of them, there are only 7 of them. But if there's a common thread among those losses, it's just the style of team that they continue to lose against. It's the style of player that team has compared to the Cavs. And as the trade deadline gets closer and closer, this front office really has to examine, do we need another big wing? Do we need somebody with length, size, athleticism on the perimeter, somebody that's a little bit better and more consistent than Isaac Okoro, somebody that has more size than Max Strus, somebody that gives you a little bit more on a nightly basis than Dean Wade does. That's something that this team, this front office, needs to explore. And I don't know what that answer is going to be, but that is the common thread among the teams that the Cavs have lost against, that all of those teams have long, athletic, quick wings on the perimeter that have given the Cavs problems. And problem is a relative term in this conversation. Again, I think at this point we're nitpicking because you asked the question, but I don't think that there is anything that I have seen from this team through the first half of the season that would prevent them from competing for a championship this year. And there's nothing else that they could show or do that would change my mind unless there is a significant injury down the stretch that changes the landscape of the NBA.
Yeah, the other thing I would say is, as you go through that, Kobe Altman, Kenny Atkinson certainly should have earned a level of trust from the fan base. Kobe Altman for standing pat, and Kenny Atkinson for coming in with a plan. All indications, you judge by the results, it was pretty well thought out.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was a reason why they decided to double down on the talent that they had. Because it did exist. It was just trying to find a way to maximize that talent and get the most out of that talent. And the thing that Kobe Altman in the front office continued to say all off season without actually coming out and saying it, but their actions spoke volumes. They said that coaching was the problem. The primary problem why the Cavs, came up short last year, why they lost in the second round to the Boston Celtics is one, because Boston's really, really good, and they were really, really good last year. But the other thing was they had a coaching problem. They believed that they needed to bring somebody in that was going to put more modern philosophies into the offense, that was going to be a little bit more diverse in terms of the attack offensively and defensively, a guy that was going to have a level of trust and belief from the guys in the locker room that didn't exist to the same level last year. And I think, the Cavs owed it to themselves to see what it looked like first before making drastic changes with the roster. Okay, what does it look like with Darius and Donovan together in this offense, in this system, with this coach? What does it look like with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley together with this level of spacing, with this style offense, all those different things? And we've gotten the answer. The core four was good enough. The core four works together well enough for them to be a championship team with the right guy pulling those strings.